Deep beneath the familiar rumble of the city, a new sound began to echo. It wasn't the groan of a subway train or the hum of underground power lines. It was the sound of metal, ancient and immense, being forced to bend under layers of asphalt and concrete. Through the tangled arteries of pipes and tunnels, something monstrous was waking up. The city's nervous system began to fail. One by one, subway cameras blinked into darkness, their last images showing nothing but a blur of impossible speed. Then, the tunnels themselves seemed to take a breath. Air, stale and thick, with the smell of wet earth and ozone, billowed up from the grates, pushing against the morning commuters. By the time the first train simply vanished from the grid, its last signal swallowed by the underground, the screams were already beginning their journey through the city's maintenance ducts, faint and terrified. On the surface, witnesses reported the ground rippling, the streets moving as if the solid earth was a living thing, exhaling a long-held breath. This was no earthquake. This was a hunt. They called her Sergeant Mara Ives, Cryo Division Urban Defense Command. She was a veteran of the impossible. She'd faced down towering kaiju that rose from the Pacific depths and battled glacier serpents that slithered beneath the polar ice caps. But this was different. This creature wasn't an invader. It was a native. It knew the city's secret pathways, its hidden veins. It had grown fat and powerful in the darkness, feeding on a diet of industrial runoff, raw refuse, and the constant, thrumming heat of the metropolis. Ober Decades, it had evolved from a mere animal into a living fault line, ready to crack the city open. At dawn, it made its grand entrance. The anaconda burst through the street with the force of a volcanic eruption. Asphalt tore apart like thin parchment. Cars were tossed into the air like children's toys, and a shimmering rain of glass cascaded from the nearby skyscrapers. Its body was as wide as a subway car, its scales a slick, oily black that caught the first rays of the rising sun, reflecting them in mesmerizing streaks of violet and deep green. Every single movement was a landslide in motion. Every breath it took was the sigh of 1,000 storm drains opening at once. From the rooftop of a half-collapsed parking garage, Mara Ives watched the chaos unfold. Her specialized cryo rifle was slung over her shoulder, its weight a cold comfort. Her headset crackled with the frantic, terrified chatter of the Army command. "All artillery units, I repeat, hold your fire. We still have civilian evac in progress." A voice screamed over the comms. Mara keyed her mic, her voice cutting through the panic, level and clipped. "You've got 2 minutes," she stated. "After that, it starts burrowing again. If it gets back underground, you'll never flush it out." Despite her calm tone, her pulse hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the symphony of destruction. Across the river, the colossal creature coiled itself around a skyscraper, its muscles tightening with incredible force. The sound of screaming steel filled the air as the building's windows imploded in a shower of glittering dust. The entire structure began to bend, slowly, sickeningly, like a candle melting in the heat. "Get me a map of all the bridges," Mara ordered into her headset. "And I want the North Grid's power rerouted through Sector 4. We're turning this entire city into a trap." There was a moment of hesitation from the command center. "Sergeant, are you planning to electrocute it?" "Freeze it first," she corrected, "then fry it." Without waiting for a reply, she turned and sprinted, descending 12 flights of crumbling stairs. Her boots echoed through the dust-choked darkness, the sound punctuated by the tinkle of broken glass. Near the bottom, a soldier met her, tossing a satchel into her hands. Inside were the cryo-grenades, heavy canisters, marked with chilling blue hazard stripes. She quickly clipped them to her belt, her fingers moving with practiced speed as she checked her rifle's cable spool. The street level was a vision of Armageddon. The roads had become rivers, filled with murky water and floating debris. Fire hydrants torn from their foundations gushed geysers of high-pressure steam into the morning air. A mangled train car, ripped from the tunnels below, lay on its side like the gutted carcass of some metallic beast. At the far end of the block, the serpent's tail, thick and muscular, disappeared back into the gaping maw of a sewer entrance, dragging massive chunks of concrete with it as if they were pebbles. Mara raised her rifle. The advanced scope flickered to life, locking onto a section of the creature's spine that was momentarily exposed amidst the rubble. She squeezed the trigger. The cable harpoon shot out with a high-pitched shriek of stressed metal, burying itself deep into the creature's flesh. The line went taut. She slammed a button on the rifle, activating the winch and anchoring the cable securely to the frame of a fallen bus. Next, she pulled a cryo-grenade, yanked the pin, and with a powerful throw, lobbed it towards the beast. The canister exploded in a brilliant burst of white vapor, instantly engulfing the monster's flank. A delicate, deadly web of frost spiderwebbed across its oily scales. The serpent let out a shriek that rattled the very bones of everyone nearby, a terrifying sound, half primal roar, half the screech of a train's emergency brakes. Detonation confirmed, she reported coolly into her comms. Section midspine is freezing. That was the signal. The army's tanks opened fire. Shells burst all along the serpent's immense length, their detonations flashing a brilliant, eerie blue against the newly formed ice. For a moment, it seemed to work. The creature slowed, its colossal muscles shuddering under the layer of frost, but it was only for a moment. With a surge of primordial fury, it twisted. Buildings that had stood for a century toppled like snapping power lines whipped through the air, spitting sparks. The anaconda reared up, its head rising high above the skyline, its jaws opening wide enough to swallow a tank hole. Deep within its eyes, a faint, abyssal intelligence glowed with ancient rage. The street buckled beneath Mara as she dove for cover. "Bridge team! Now?" she screamed into her headset. "Do it now!" On her command, high above the river, the massive suspension bridge's tension cables re-rigged by her earlier orders were released in a cascade of brilliant sparks. The heavy metal whips lashed down, wrapping around the creature's body, ensnaring it in a steel net. Then, the power hit. The full, diverted force of the city's north grid arced from the cables, creating a web of white lightning that danced and sizzled over its frozen scales. The beast convulsed, its howl of agony shaking the city to its foundations, and then everything went dark as the grid overloaded. Mara climbed onto the hood of a crushed sedan, the metal groaning under her weight. She leveled her rifle one last time, firing her final cryo round directly into its gaping, screaming maw. The grenade vanished between teeth the size of steel girth. A silent heartbeat passed. Then, the explosion bloomed from within, a silent, expanding halo of freezing mist bursting from the inside out. Ice, crystalline and jagged, raced outward through the serpent's flesh, encasing it in a tomb of blue-tinted glass. It thrashed one final titanic time, and then froze solid. Its body locked mid-coil between skyscrapers, a terrifying monument carved from night and ice. Silence fell, the eerie, profound quiet that only follows a cataclysm. Mara lowered her rifle, her arms trembling with exhaustion. Steam rose from the river, curling around the serpent's frozen, magnificent form. In the distance, a lone emergency siren began to wail again, its sound tentative, almost shy. Her earpiece crackled back to life. "Sergeant Ives, is the target neutralized?" "Temporarily," she replied, her voice raspy. "Get a full containment team here before it thaws." She looked up. The first light of dawn was breaking, its rays refracting through the ice sculpture of the monster, painting the ruined skyline in breathtaking shades of blue and gold. For a fleeting, surreal moment, it was beautiful, the monster and the city, locked together in a frozen embrace, predator and prey captured in the same final breath. Then, She heard it, a small sound, almost lost in the silence. A faint, sharp crack, and she watched as a hairline fracture began to spread across the ice. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of urban horror, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories that bring the impossible to life. We'll see you in the next one.